world, and welcome to another edition of Pendragon Poetry. Today we were looking at the Burnley ad again. I'm currently in Burnley, well, just camping just outside it, the Smithson campsite, and it's pissing it down. But it's a perfect opportunity to go through some of my Brunanburh studies. Now, the Battle of Brunanburh was fought in 937 AD, and we know this from the Anglo-Saxon Chronicle, which gives one of its poems. What it's like in the 10th century, there's a few poems composed instead of sort of like normal chronicle dates, and the Brunanburh one is one of the best. I'm going to read it in full, it's quite long. 937 AD. In this year, King Athelstan, lord of warriors, ring giver to men, and his brother also, Prince Edmund, won eternal glory in battle with sword edges. Around Brunanburh, they split the shield wall, they hewed battle shields with the remnants of hammers, the sons of Edward. It was only befitting their noble descent from their ancestors that they should often defend their land in battle against each hostile people. Horde and home, the enemy perished, Scotsmen and seamen, fated they fell. The field flowed with blood of warriors from sun-up in the morning, when the glorious star gilded over the earth, God's bright candle. Eternal Lord, till that noble creation sank to its seat, there lay many a warrior by spears destroyed, northern men shot over shield, likewise Scottish as well, weary, war-sated. The West Saxons pushed onward all day in troops, they pursued the hostile people, they hewed the fugitive grievously from behind, with swords sharp from the grinding. The Mercians did not refuse hard handplay to any warrior who came with Anlaf over the sea surge in the bosom of a ship. Those who sought land fated to fight. 5 lay dead on the battlefield, young kings put to sleep by swords, likewise also 7 of Anlaf's earls, countless of the army, sailors and Scots. There the Northmen's chief was put to flight, by need constrained to the prow of a ship with little company. He pressed the ship afloat, the king went out in the dusky flood tide, he saved his life. Likewise, there also the old campaigner through flight came to his own region in the north, Constantine. Hoary warrior, he had no reason to exult the great meeting, he was of kinsmen bereft. Friends fell on the battlefield, killed at strife, even his son young in battle he left in the place of slaughter, ground to pieces with wounds. That grizzle-haired warrior had no reason to boast the sword slaughter, O deceitful one, no more did Anlaf. With their remnant of an army, they had no reason to laugh, that they were better indeed of war in battlefield, collision of banners, encounter of spears, encounter of men, trading of blows, when they played against the sons of Edward on the battlefield. Departed then the Northmen in nailed ships, the dejected survivors of the battle sought Dublin over the deep water, over Dingersmere, to return to Ireland ashamed in spirit. Likewise the brothers both together, king and prince, sought their home, West Saxon land, exultant from battle. They left behind them to enjoy the corpses, the dark-coated one, the dark horny-beaked raven, and the dusky-coated one, the eagle white from behind, to partake of carrion, greedy war-hawk, and that grey animal, the wolf in the forest. Never was there more slaughter on this island, never yet as many people killed before this with sword's edge, never, according to those who tell us from books old wise men, since from the East Angles and Saxons came up over the broad sea. Britain they sought, proud warsmiths who overcame the Welsh, glorious warriors, they took hold of the land. So the Battle of Brunanburh was basically the battle which kind of secured England, because what had happened ever since Alfred the Great, his successors have been eating away at the north. You know, they got into Cornwall. Athelstan was the best one. They got all the way to like the Scottish border, and on the way through Northumbria, they'd sort of deposed the Vikings from Viking Jorvik. So Anlaf, or Anlaf, he decides to tries an attempt to sort of regain the Northumbrian crown for himself. So he turns up with a load of Vikings from like Denmark, Norway and Ireland, and he's got allied with the King Constantine of Scotland, who's decided to, like, you know, bloody the Athelstanes and those. He doesn't like the fact that the English are now at his borders, and they met at a place called Brunanburh in this great battle. Now we know it's in the north of England because of the Viking chronicles, not that Viking chronicles, the Irish chronicles, who, if you stitch them together, they set off from Dublin, they arrive at the Humber they're in York, and then after that we don't know where they went. But we'll just look at the Irish annals at the moment. So the Annals of Clonmacnoise, this one says, the Danes of Lochry arrived at Dublin, Oley, that's Annals, with all the Danes of Dublin and north part of Ireland departed and went overseas. The Florence of Worcester and Roger de Hoveden, these aren't actually Irish chroniclers, but these are Northumbrian chroniclers. They'll tell us where they went next. Basically, they say, Roger de Hoveden says, Anlaf, the pagan king of Ireland and many of the islands, being encouraged by his father-in-law, Constantine, king of the Scots, oh, I forgot about that, they were married his daughter, entered the mouth of the Humber with a vast fleet amounting to 615 sail. So you basically, they sailed from Ireland, they've gone over the top of Scotland and met the sort of rest of the Viking community from Scandinavia. According to the Annals of the Four Masters, Anlaf Cuaran went to Cair Ebroc. Cair Ebroc, York. It's like Ebrocum is the Roman word for York, so Cair Ebroc is Brock. And Blacair, son of Godfrey, came to Alcliath. That's I think that's Dumbarton, or I can never remember. Doesn't really matter. Anyway, but that's basically saying Anlaf Cuaran went to York, and then, by the help, Annals of Clonmacnoise say, by the help of the Danes of that kingdom, they gave battle to the Saxons on the plains of Othlin, where there was a great slaughter of Normans and Danes. Now we'll come to the plains of Othlin later on. It's another name for the Battle of Brunanburh. But we're going to return now. So the last time we saw the army, they were in York, and somewhere after that they fight a battle at Brunanburh. Now, to finish this post of today, we're just going to look at the etymology of Brunanburh. So basically, although Brunanburh is the Anglo-Saxon Chronicle version, according to the Annals Cambrai, it's Bellunbrun, B-R-U-N-E. According to John of Fordun, it's Brunford. And according to Ranulph Higden, it's Brumford. So you're basically saying a ford of the Brun or Brum. Now in Ranulph Higden, he's writing about 1300 AD, and in 1294, the Market Charter of Burnley was Brumley. So there's the Brum. So basically, Burnley used to be called Brunley, and it means clearing by the River Brun. And there is only one waterway in the whole of Britain that has the name Brun, the River Brun. And it sort of starts in up in the moors, about 10 miles to the east of Burnley, and then flows into Burnley itself, and then it joins with the River Calder, and then that goes to the Ribble and off to the sea. But anyway, so we now have a ford by the River Brun. It's clearly by the Burnley Brun, and we'll look at all the rest of the evidence quite soon. But that's the some of the etymology. I'll just finish with how Brunanburh becomes Brunburh and Brunley, because so in 937 Brunanburh, in 972 there is a Otanley is recorded, Otanley, which becomes Otterley in the Domesday Book of 1086. So the An, that sort of early Old English An, is left. It means belonging to it. So Otanley of 972 becomes Otterley in the Domesday Book. That's Otley in Yorkshire. Likewise, Otanmere is found in the unprinted Beckley Charter of 1005, would later become Otmore. It's the same. So the An is being removed. So Brunanburh becomes Brunburh or Brunford, etc., etc. So we're off. It's going to be a fascinating journey through all this, but I'm going to show you so much cool stuff around this Burnley area, like the antiquities and how it all fits together, that Brunanburh was fought in Burnley. I'll just show you how wet it is outside. Have a little look. It's easing up a bit.